Welcome back to the Courageous Leaders podcast. In today's solo episode, I thought I would talk more about a post I recently put up. I shared a post on LinkedIn about how it's easy to be liked as a leader. It's actually a lot more challenging to be respected as a leader. And I'm finding a lot of leaders at the moment getting quite confused with these two areas, which is holding them back. And it created quite a lot of talk on LinkedIn. A few people messaged me. So I just thought, let's get some different perspectives on it. I wanted to really be able to share mine. And I'd love to know in the comments, especially what your views are on this subject. So what do I mean by being liked and being respected? Now, as a leader, there are so many decisions you need to make, which could affect people massively. It could affect people losing their jobs. It could affect big changes, people's roles changing, having to work with completely different people. There's a lot of tough decisions to be made in leadership. And as human beings, it's incredibly normal for us to want to be liked. We have a need to want to connect with people. So a lot of these decisions, your brain will be worrying, will this mean a disconnection? How will people look at me? In leadership, the key is to be respected. Respected for the choices you need to make and respected for how you handle those choices. Because it's easy to connect with people. It is harder to make those tough decisions, but the goal is to be respected, not to have the need to be liked. Let me give you an example personally in terms of where I've been on the receiving end of a leader having to make a tough decision to me, and how it was done. And this will probably bring to life the real difference between being liked and being respected. So I was head of a department in an agency, and I think I was a bit cocky. I was a bit young, a bit naive. I climbed the ladder quite quickly. And I'd gone into this place of kind of blaming everyone else for things not going my way. And I had my performance review, and three very senior leaders, if they're listening to this, they'll know who they are, and they were brilliant. They put themselves on their line, really, to give me some very difficult feedback. They could have, if they wanted to, taken an easy route out and just cancelled my probation and said I wasn't right. But they didn't. They took the time to take me through where I was, the blind spots that I had and what they needed to see from me going forward. Now, I can't tell you, in that moment, getting that feedback, I hated all three of them. The anger that was coming up inside me, the upset, because again, initially I wasn't taking any personal responsibility for it. I was blaming them. But the way they did it, even though I didn't like them, they handled it with care. You could see that they were mindful of how this was landing with me and what they needed to say. And I'm going to cover that a bit more in a moment. But the goal wasn't for me to leave my probation feeling like I liked them, and us all having a great, relationship and feeling liked. The goal was for them to help me grow so I could respect them as leaders, even though for a good, month, I didn't like them very much. But if they were worried about being liked, I would not have got that rich feedback from them, which I tell you, that feedback was really, the start of me being able to sit here in front of you today. A framework that I thought I'd share that could help you with this is John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. Now, he talks about level 1 is people are following you because you have a job title. So they don't know you, but they're having to follow you because they've been told, you're their boss. Level 2 is a relationship-based leader. So people are following you now because they like you, that, you're treating them fairly, it's good, and you're building that relationship. Then level 3 is a results-based leader. So people are now really following you because they can see the results that you're making and what you're doing and the changes that you can influence in the business. And then level 4 is when it's now you've done your results as a leader. This is really empowering others and helping them all grow and get their results, which again is why they trust and follow you so much, because they can see what you're going to do for their career. And level 5 is like the people who are then doing stuff outside of their organization and giving back more to a society, not just within their organization. Level 4 is a really good goal to get to. When I work with leaders, I see a lot of people getting stuck at level 2 and level 3. I'm going to talk about level 2 more at the moment because it's linked with the need to be liked. So level 2, people find it difficult to go to the results-based because this is where those tough decisions start needing to be made to make the results that you want to do. So they can get stuck in this kind of friendly zone, avoiding confrontation zone, avoiding tough decisions, because this need to be liked is too important to them. So they don't ever move up to that level 3 and level 4, which is so, so important to be a great leader. The reason why I'm talking about this at the moment is I'm seeing it become a bigger problem than it ever has before. And I do believe it's kind of really stemmed from COVID, where everybody just had to enter everybody's lives. We all became a bit more personal. I heard more and more people start saying we're like a family. And obviously business isn't family. So this niceness and this kind of cozy environment then became very difficult to do more confrontational conversations. I actually have companies saying to me now, Jo, can you come in and help us? Or teams are actually feeding back to us to say the culture's become too nice. And it's actually affecting the quality of the work that's going out there. It's affecting the relationships we have with clients. Clients are walking all over them. And people aren't getting the feedback they need to grow as a person because everyone's being too nice. So my most popular training at the moment is how to give and receive feedback to each other because of this niceness and people wanting to be liked. So I think COVID brought that in more because we needed to come into each other's lives. And it's now about being able to step back and have more of a business persona. You've also got so many leaders now going into positions where they're not getting supported in what does it mean to be in a leadership identity? What are the responsibilities of a leader? And I've mentioned it already before. So many people do have this need to be liked, which can really keep them stuck. The biggest point of feedback that we got when we put this post up was, well, hang on a minute, compassion and empathy are a must. Now, with all of this I'm sharing, absolutely, this needs to be done with compassion and empathy. I don't think you can be respected as a leader if you don't have compassion and empathy with your people. The difference is that you can give someone some feedback or tell them a big change is going to happen. You do that with compassion, you do it with empathy, especially as a leader. You've taken the time to understand your team. You've taken the time to go, how you communicate to one person could be different to the other because they've had different experiences or they've got different challenges at home. Or this is where I use the DISC profile. They need to hear communication differently. So as a leader, you understand the individuals in your team to be able to talk their language to them. So that's already coming with compassion and empathy. The difference is you may still need to tell your team member something they don't agree with or they're not going to like. That doesn't mean you still don't do it with compassion and empathy. So this person can respect you for how you've handled the situation, even though they may not like you for the decision that you've made. This is the clear distinction for me. And as a leader, it's being okay that you're not liked right now because that's not why you're a leader. And I don't know about any leaders listening to this right now. I've had messages on some of the things I've had to do from people, 5 years after I've worked with them, I think didn't like me for quite a long time, and then messaged me, thanking me, saying, do you know what? I can now see why that was done. And thank you, because I can see how it helped me, but at the time I couldn't. So this is the thing. You've got to make your decisions based on what's right and do it in the fairest way and always with compassion and empathy. As I said, I don't believe you will be respected if you don't. So personal experience I had with this is I worked at an agency and they wanted to dramatically change their project management department. The department was very disparate, they weren't a team, and they wanted to elevate the creative abilities in the group. So I was then given the task to completely transform this team. And my initial approach was making these decisions based on wanting to be liked. I was playing it incredibly safe because I was so worried about how I was going to come across. Some people in the team were friends I'd made in other agencies and brought them in as well. And I was so worried about what everyone would think. So it kept my thinking really small. And then I got some great advice from one of the founders that said, please, Jo, go bigger with this. This is your opportunity. You need to do the right thing here for the agency, for the business, of where it can grow. And we ended up absolutely transforming the department from project management to creative producers, which meant that some people didn't qualify for that role anymore. So some people were going to lose their job. And I remember standing up in front of the whole team. I was pretty much shaking. I was, knowing what I was about to do. But it was so important that I did it the right way, that they felt cared for, they felt supported, that they had clarity, they understood. They were all on the same page. There was no rumors. And this was the thing. What I was telling them, I knew they wouldn't be. A lot of them wouldn't like me for it. But it was the right thing to do. But everything was to look after them. But it was incredibly hard as a leader, knowing you're walking around the agency. You can hear people talking about you. You can hear people challenging you. You can hear people disagreeing with you. But these are some of the messages now where people have come back to me and said, Jo, I get it. Thank you. And I was physically shaking, but it was knowing it was the right thing to do. So I have been there. So when I'm talking about this, I do truly know what it means. And I am someone that does prefer to be liked. But great leadership is doing what's right and earning respect, not being liked. And just one more point. Just remember, leadership, it's not about you. The way I was able to do this in the agency was to remember it wasn't about me. It wasn't about my success. It wasn't about me feeling comfortable. It was about the team I was looking after and where the team could go in that agency and the opportunities they had if we made this change. So please listen really carefully. Leadership is not about you. You do need to be able to get out of your own way to really make the growth that you want to have. So to summarize this part and to really bring it to life for you and to capture what the actions you can now do, the first thing is to ask yourself 3 really clear questions. So the first question is, are you making this decision based on the need to be liked? Are you making this decision based on fearing and trying to avoid conflict? And the big one is, what are the consequences if you don't make the decision the fairest decision? What are the consequences to the person, to the business, and to you as a leader if you don't make the right decision and do what's the right thing to do versus maybe a decision that will keep you being liked? Because it is everybody's bill of rights to know if they're not performing well, if there's a change coming up from them. It's their bill of rights to know. So don't be a leader that takes away those bill of rights for them, and don't create consequences that are unnecessary because you focus too much on wanting to be liked. The next thing I would make sure you do is go around to your team. Find out what your team's values are. Find out what they care about, because then that will help you understand how they like to be communicated and what's important to them. We all also have different communication styles. Get curious, understand them. So again, it's going to increase the compassion and empathy that you can bring. And lastly, and I'd say so importantly, is listening. Whenever you're needing to do any challenging feedback or let people know a change is going to happen that they might not like, make sure you've got the space for them to be heard. Make sure they are listened to. We walk around as human beings with a sign on our head saying, make me feel important. You can do that as a leader. And part of, even if they don't like what's going on, they will appreciate feeling heard and feeling they could contribute to what is about to happen. So listening is something you can really, really give, and you will be respected for that. So I hope this episode has helped. It's a big subject. For some people, I think it's kind of controversial subject, but just to clarify, being respected means leading with compassion and empathy. It's not about the need to be liked, it's doing what's right. And that's what great leadership is. Thank you. So I just wanted to let you know, with these solo episodes that I'm doing, obviously I'm going a lot into personal development and coaching. I am a coach, I'm a leadership coach. If you feel you need help with anything that I'm covering in any of the videos I'm doing, please reach out. You can email me, you can find my details in the show notes. Or even if you just, if you're not sure coaching's even for you or where to start, just drop me a note. I'm very, very happy to respond and guide you in the right direction of how even books or podcasts that could really help you. But as I said, I'm a leadership coach. If you need support and you want someone to talk to, please do reach out to me.